Mr. Pavan Vijay, Mr. Chitle, Mr. Rukia, Mr. Shrivastava, delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to be here for a variety of reasons. I was delighted at the invitation because I always like a face-to-face with my clients and consumers or customers, which is what you are to me. There's a mindset issue, and I'll explain what I mean when I say that. But I was also delighted that I'll be meeting some old friends like Mr. Pavan Vijay, whom I've known from the time he registered a company in less than an hour when I was Secretary Corporate Affairs. Mr. Shrivastava, who was my General Manager when I was CMD Pavanas, that's about more than a decade ago. But more importantly, I think it's an opportunity to make new friends and new relationships. So that's why I was delighted also. And after hearing what has been said before and before you, I was delighted to hear what the previous speakers have said. You know, this question of addressing and speaking. When I talk of address, you know, I tend to think of what I read in university, the Gettysburg Address. You think of a speech, you think of, I have a dream. And then I say, well, I'm not up to it. I can't give an address. I can't give a speech, but as was said very well, I can share a few thoughts. And even these thoughts, you know, I have a decided preference for a dialogue and a conversation. So with the permission of the chair, let me try to have a monologue, which is a conversation. What I try to do is to try to think as to what you would have liked to discuss with me if I were face-to-face with you. And then I'll try to respond to that. See, the merger scape, if I may call it, has been so well covered, particularly by Mr. Pavan Vijay and Mr. Rukia, and in a far more forceful and forthright manner by Mr. Chitle. And I was delighted to hear the present chairman of NASCAM, because the NACAS, I never heard of NACAS till I was in the Ministry of Finance. I was additional secretary there. That's the first I heard about NACAS. And as secretary, I came to know how important and powerful this body is. I mean, the ministry which notified, but we knew who actually decided really. Of course, we always have our say in these matters. I was delighted to hear him, and I just invited him for a one-to-one. So let me see, what is it that you want to hear from you? I mean, all this that has been said is something you know in many ways maybe better than me. What you want to know to my mind is, what Pavan put it as saying, how will CCI affect M&A? That is a huge question for India Inc. and the professionals assisting. And the answer to that, one word answer is very positively, I hope. But I think the real answer is, you want to know how do we look at it? Well, ultimately, the way we'll interpret the law, the way we'll apply our law depends on how we look at it. So first thing, let me state, first thing, what I say is my personal conviction, but it's also largely shared within the Commission. First thing, we think mergers and acquisitions are extremely important for not only the India, but for the economic growth of the country. So it is something which needs to be facilitated. We need to look at it in a very positive manner. And as we've just been advised, we have to look at it in real terms. So if you talk of value creation, let there be real value creation. But very, very definitely, we looked at all proposals of combinations, if I use the word we used in the Act, with a very positive approach. We would like to facilitate, if not encourage, because encouragement perhaps is not directly our role, always keeping in mind the competition concerns. And in doing so, we are very conscious of the fact that competition regulation actually has two very distinct streams. Let us not confuse the two. Section 3 and 4 antitrust and Section 5 and 6 competition, they are different animals. In antitrust, we are investigating to see whether a party, a person, an entity, an enterprise have violated any of the provisions, anti-competitive agreement, abuse of dominance, whatever.